open up an IDW, a drawing sheet. This is size A, that's the default one I use for my classroom. So first thing I'm going to bring in the base, and I'll go find it. I'm going to bring in, for the base, I'm going to pick the side with a hole, and that's the right view for me. Scales off, probably 1 would work better, and I'll put an isometric up in the corner, and so you can play around. So that looks good. So right click, OK. So I have that place. I'm going to drag this down to the corner. And that gives me room for this one. And I'll probably change it to be shaded, which is typical. And since I have lots of space, I'm not going to worry about changing the scale on it. But I do want to make it shaded. And now I want to annotate it. So I'm going to put a center mark on that hole. And then I'm going to do baseline dimensioning. I'm going to go from the side to the hole to the other side. Right click, continue, come up here, click place, right click, create. Do the same thing from the bottom. So I'm going to go baseline, hole, and the sides. Right click, continue, click to place, right click, create. Now, this needs one more dimension. I need to dimension this hole. So some people will dimension it different ways. I don't care how you decide how you want to do it in your classroom. Some people will bring this up over here. Some people will feel that they should put it right here. I'm not going to fuss over it. You decide how you want your students to do it and do it accordingly. So that's that dimension. Another thing is you can play around with these center marks. Depending on the style, you can go in the style editor and change the style of these. I'm not going to fret about it much, but you decide what style works for you. So that's the way I do my center marks. You can stretch them out that way. You can set up the ones the way you want to do them for your students. So that takes care of that part. Next thing I want to do is hit escape a couple times, and I'm going to double click on this dimension, and I'm going to make it a deviation of 0.1. That means it can be 4.1, but cannot be less than 4. That may be a critical dimension for me. And you see now it's kind of all running in together, so you want to kind of bring it out. So that looks a little better. So that takes care of how to do this one. Now, the other thing I have my students do is to name their sheets, and I'm going to call this one side, and click off of it. So now it has that name, and then I'm going to come up here, and I could change that to drawings. So now I have drawings, I have one side, and I'm going to click up here on drawing and click new sheet, and I'm going to start a new sheet. So that disappeared, but it's right up here grayed out. So I can double click on this, I can go back to my first one. So now I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and place some views, bring in the base. I'm going to bring in the eccentric cam. You bring in whichever cam you want to do. And so that looks like 1's going to be not enough, so let's try 1.5. That looks pretty good. And I'll put an ISO up here, click OK, and drag this over. And of course, if you ever not get a view, just click on projected, and then you can place it later on. And for this particular view, move it over in the corner. It's usually my preference, and I usually like these shaded. Click OK. So now I need to put some center marks. So annotate, center mark on this hole. Some people put it on this entire line here too. That's nothing wrong with doing that. So I can put center mark and then click on that. And then when I go to dimension, I want to dimension this circle. I want to dimension this circle. And I need to know how far away that one is from the other one. So I hit dimension, click that line. Now I can pull that off. And that doesn't look right. 0.63 doesn't make sense to me. So let's hit escape a couple times. Double click on that hole. And here we go. We're going to go back in here and let's change precision to 3. And click OK. That looks a little like a normal dimension to me. And let's double click on it again, and we can go ahead and make this one a symmetric, which is a bilateral tolerance. Maybe I'll do 0.05. So that means plus or minus 0.05. So that gives me a total tolerance of 0.1, and that's where it's one that the students will miss. And now I can go back to its name. Instead of side, I'm going to call it, let's say, cam. And make sure I select it all. Cam. So now it's real easy to see. I got side, drawing 1, drawing 2, and they have names for them. So I'm going to go to File and Save. And I'm going to save it as drawings. Just say, oh, do you want to replace the other one? I'm going to say no, because I don't know what else I may have there. I may need that. So I'm going to say drawings 2. And once you save it, then I want you to go to File, Export as a PDF. This is the way I have my students turn in. This way I don't have to worry about any of the drawings having to have Inventor up for the drawing. So I can just go ahead and they can submit it as a PDF. The key thing you'll forget to do is Options All Sheets. Mine is selected already because it defaults to that for me, but your students may not. And I'm going to click OK and hit Save. And what that does is creates a PDF. So let's go Open, and there's drawings. And we'll close this out, and now you can see I have all my drawings there. And you heard my bell. So hope this helps.